Hey, Jamie, what's going on, brother? Welcome. Listen, hey, everybody. Sorry about the intro being cut short. I was having some technical difficulties. Hey, welcome to, of course, the new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. Jamie, what's going on, brother? Hey,
Hey
man.
man,
It's
happy to be here. What a day! What a day! I'm super excited to talk about all the stuff today because it's been an interesting few days online. People's thoughts on different topics, and it might get a bit heated, but other than that, I'm really good.
well, it's first of all, you sound much better than you did last week. So hopefully you are feeling better.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's good to know. Folks, welcome everybody. Like Jamie was saying, when he says heated, he doesn't mean like we're going to get heated. I think there's going to be a lot of pointed conversation today. And I think that the pointed conversation is something that we have been having on this channel. That Jamie himself, along with Logan Meyer, they'll tell us about their show later this evening. They've been having these heated conversations. If you listen to my favorite podcast and the crew, Dirt Griggity, who put on a great show yesterday, it had me laughing all morning as I was doing the wash, and that's usually when I catch it. And it's a conversation that continues to come up in the gaming community. Well, there's a lot that we're going to be covering today. So right now, me and Jamie are just waiting. Infinite Umbra, who's been in our DM, so I believe he's up, so he should be here momentarily. But you know what? We have to because we have so much to cover, Jamie and chat, I want to just jump right into it. So one of the big topics from yesterday comes the way of a report that was made earlier in the year. I believe it was last month, from Jason Schreier. And what that report basically meant, or what that report was broken down as, is PlayStation was at the time rumored to be pulling their support for PC away from single player story driven games. Well, apparently that has happened, ladies and gentlemen, because we have a story in front of us. Well, I guess you can call it an update from Jason Schreier. I'm going to read it verbatim. Jason Schreier goes on to say, Scoop, PlayStation Studio business CEO Herman Holst has told staff in a town hall meeting on Monday morning that the company's narrative single-player games will now be PlayStation exclusive, confirming Bloomberg's reporting from earlier this year. Now, he has a link, of course, to the original story, and that was in March when this was reported. And that story had a headline, Sony pulls back from PlayStation games on PC. The video game publisher no longer plans to put out PC ports on PlayStation games such as Ghosts of Yotai. Now, why that is an important piece of what we're talking about, Jamie and chat, is exclusivity making a big, I guess, comeback. Now, I have been banging the drum, Jamie, for months now. And we are starting to see that there's room in this gaming space for exclusivity to come back. And the advantage that Xbox has over PlayStation making this move is that they already put their games on PC, right? So the PC market, as we know, is huge. And you know what I want to bring up, because folks, I'm a big old context kind of a podcaster. I like numbers, right? I like documents. I like stories to base our opinions on, because when people write about these things, most of the time it's not opinion, it's actual facts. Well, what I have in front of me are record-breaking numbers on Steam for Forza Horizon 6. And that number has consistently gone up over the weekend and through today. And today is, of course, the official launch, or Gen Pop, if you will. If you didn't go out and get the special edition or the early access edition, you can just go to you can go to Steam, you can buy it. You can go to Xbox Game Pass and download it and play it, or you can buy it from Xbox, whatever your choice is. Well, on Steam right now, 273,148 people was the all-time peak 1 hour ago. Now, again, because I'm a context kind of a podcaster, Forza Horizon 5 at its best in its lifetime had 81,000 players. This is now almost tripled it, quadrupled it, right? So, and again, yesterday, if you remember, I made mention of Danny Pena, who had put out a tweet responding to a post from Insider Gaming claiming that over the weekend through early access, that Forza Horizon 6 had made $140+ million on just the pre-sales. And Danny had made a mention, and again, this is his opinion. And you know how I feel about Danny Pena. I talk about positively all the time. When I tell you a really great human, he is. And he simply said, could you imagine if this would have released on PlayStation 5 as well? And he got a lot of smoke for it, to be honest with you. And I don't think he was trying to be facetious, because that's not the kind of person he is. He was just simply asking a question. And my rebuttal to him yesterday, and I will repeat it, is that could you imagine if this would have been an Xbox exclusive, how many consoles it would have sold? That, and again, that not no smoke, just simply a rebuttal to his question with a form of my own question. Now, it is. I think it's safe to say, ladies and gentlemen, that Forza Horizon 6 is a certified banger. And where I want to bring this right back to is where we started. And that is the confirmation from Herman Holtz via this report from Jason Schreier that PlayStation is not only circling the wagons, they're closing off borders. So for PlayStation's business, the most important things to them are console sales and exclusivity on their brand IP. Now, to be fair, they don't really have a lot in development, at least from what we understand. So them not putting their games on PC isn't going to collapse the world as we know it, because they don't have a lot of games to put on PC, right? Everything that they put out there already is probably going to remain there unless they decide to, go back on that. But I don't know if they're going to do that, because that would be kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But you just never know, because it's PlayStation. Now, some of the rhetoric, Jamie, that I have seen on the socials is this is a smart move for Sony. Circle the wagons. Make people go out and buy a PlayStation 5 for Wolverine. Of course, because it's not going on PC. Soros, not going to PC. Well, I mean, in Soros's case, that might be more of a hindrance, because only 300,000 people bought it on PlayStation 5. So I don't know if that's really good or bad. I mean, it's a smaller game for sure, but it's falling under the Returnal numbers, and that's not really great. But getting back to the rhetoric on the socials, this is looked upon as a brilliant, defend your kind IP type of move, right? It's smart for Sony to circle the wagons and say, well, our exclusives are going to be, exclusive on PlayStation branded hardware. And everyone's cheering this on. And you know what? That's fine. That's absolutely fine. But Jamie, you, my brother, have consistently used the terminology double standards. And that is exactly what we are going to discuss now. Because I had someone yesterday, and I don't do the names thing, and I will not do that now, basically throw me under the bus because I went on a rant live on the air about Forza Horizon 6 staying exclusive to Xbox and PC and how it should be handled. And what I said yesterday, I will reiterate today. I simply said that a presser from Asha Sharma If I was writing it, this is what it would say. Listen, we want to announce that we are delaying Forza Horizon 6 on PlayStation 5 indefinitely as we investigate putting, bringing back exclusivity to our brand. Now, of course, I would say it much more professional than that, but I'm just live on the air. I don't have anything written in front of me. But that's exactly how I would handle it. Moving forward, we're only talking about where the game's available, and that is on Xbox and on PC. On PlayStation 5, right now, we are going to take some time and reevaluate what exclusivity means for our platform. That's how I would say it. That's how I would handle it. And I got a lot of blowback from that. I would imagine the clipping that went on with some of these knuckleheads on the socials about me being some sort of a lunatic, claiming that even though this was already announced for PlayStation, that there's absolutely no way that Xbox could be like, you know what? We're going to take our ball and go home. Because if I recall correctly, and I made mention that wasn't Ghost of Yotai announced for PC? And didn't Sony PlayStation kind of cancel that and say, you know what? We're just not going to put it out there. We're going to keep it exclusive here. They did, in fact, do that. So why can't Xbox do that with Forza Horizon 6, seeing the success? Because remember, today is just the first day of the Gen Pop getting the game. Now, I've been playing it. Well, I reviewed it, so it's different for me. But most people got early access at the end of the last week, and they played all the way through the weekend, and they've had a great time with it. And the numbers are in. The numbers on Xbox are in. The numbers on PC are in. Sales, it's going to sell like crazy. There's no doubt about it. And there's absolutely no doubt in my mind, Jamie, that this is a console seller. Right? Look at the game. It is a certified banger, and this is how you get people to buy into your hardware. You have exclusivity. And just the same way they announced it, they could unannounce it. Say, you know what? We're just going to hold off. We're not releasing it this year as we, again, look into what exclusivity means for our platform and our business model. And the other thing that continues to come up, and you, Jamie, again, I have to shout you out. You've said it more times than I can count on one hand. Why is it that Xbox is always expected to put their exclusives everywhere, but when it comes to Sony, it's okay for them not to do the same thing in kind? And you'll get a lot of different answers. Well, I know what the answers are, and most of them are bullshit. But I want to hear what you have to say about this, Jamie.
It's crazy because if you go back before Microsoft was doing the multi-platform thing, go to any interview at GameSpot, IGN, Eurogamer, whatever these people were questioning Phil Spencer, they'd always ask, is X game going to PlayStation? Right? It happened all the time, right? And I always used to think that was weird. You never saw PlayStation executives get interviewed by IGN and ask, hey, is Spider-Man going to Xbox, just out of the blue, willy-nilly? Never happened. And then when they start doing the multi-platform thing, there was this sort of weird tonal shift where all of a sudden, and not even just in like journalists, you have people that were like, hey, Xbox can't do exclusives anymore because they're already putting their games on other platforms. And all these people, look, let's be honest, the PlayStation fanboys, we'll call them, not fan base, the fan base is perfectly fine, but the fanboys, they're very entitled, right? You have to have every game on your console no matter what. And they've been conditioned that way. I mean, hell, PlayStation pays to keep games off Xbox, right? Stellar Blade was originally announced for Xbox, and then it was pulled. Black Myth Wukong was mysteriously 1 year later, So like Microsoft has this competition where they are willing to pay to keep games off their platform, right? Microsoft, they at a point now where they have a big new game coming out multiple times a year. They have an active roadmap where last year they had like 11 games. And like this year, it looks to be amazing. Forza Horizon 6 is a big hit already, and it's day one, right? The £110 version of Forza Horizon 6 is number 2 on the Xbox store.
Wow.
A game that's in Game Pass is number 2 in the Xbox store. And by the way, £110, that's like $130, something like that. So a lot of people want this game, right? Forza Horizon is a huge franchise, and it's a system seller in my opinion. But the problem is they're not going to give it a chance to be, right? And when Asha Sharma said that they're going to reevaluate their exclusives, I really hope they're looking at this game, because I saw Danny's post about how, like, imagine if this launched on PlayStation, and I think that's the wrong way to look at it. I think it would be like, what if this game was only on Xbox?
Yes.
Right? Because I've
Yes.
never seen the same energy from anyone for like imagine if Spider-Man was also on Xbox and Switch, right? Never seen that, right? PlayStation has a big hit. No, like if Wolverine comes out this September and it's huge, right? Huge numbers on PlayStation. Are we going to see these same people across the board say, imagine if this launched on Xbox and PC? We're not going to see that. We're not going to see that. So you have Forza Horizon 6 doing extremely well, right? And if I was Microsoft, I'd look at those numbers thinking, this is a racing game, right? And it's popping off. Shouldn't you maybe look at like keeping this game exclusive? And by the way, let's say Forza Horizon does go to PlayStation, then putting it on PlayStation this year technically doesn't make any sense. Because
I
Forza
agree.
Horizon has a lifespan. It has, they sell microtransactions, they have expansions and all that stuff, right? So, like, Forza Horizon 5's only been on PlayStation for a year, whereas traditionally a lifespan of a Horizon title is around 3 years. So, like, even if Horizon 6 does go to PlayStation, they shouldn't put it on that platform for at least 2 years, because 5 hasn't had its full lifespan. So, like, that's one part. But like, I really think Microsoft's like, look, there's weird. The exclusivity topic's a bit weird, because you have different groups of people, right? You have one group of people that want Xbox to have exclusives just because they can say it's exclusive. You have PlayStation fanboys that want their games to go to PlayStation because they don't want to buy an Xbox. Then you have sort of middle ground people that actually understand that, consoles having exclusives is kind of a tiny bit important, you know. And then there's another group of people, and I call them the kumbaya wavy gravy folk, right? Where they want every game to be on everything, only when it comes to Xbox. And it would be nice if every game, like I've said this before, it wouldn't be nice if you could play Pokemon on your Xbox, or like Uncharted on a Switch, like every game being on everything. That would be ideal, but we don't live in that ideal world. And I keep saying this because everyone, and I've seen this in the Xbox fandom as well, right? And I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just saying I've noticed this, that if you remotely suggest that Xbox should have exclusives, you're doing it for console war reasons.
Yes, that is correct, sir.
Whereas as someone that covers Xbox, as someone who's a fan of Xbox since day one, let me tell you, I want to see the Xbox brand grow, because if the brand grows, you get more games, right? You get more Japanese titles, more Chinese titles, right? More Korean titles, right? If Xbox grows as a brand, it's better for everyone, right? So them having exclusives is just another reason to buy into Xbox, right? Because think about it, all these people, these wavy gravy folk, right, that want every game to be on everything, right? Even though we don't live in that real world, and people don't say this about PlayStation and Nintendo. Why should someone buy into the Xbox ecosystem if they already own a PlayStation? Now, the one I always hear is Game Pass is the exclusive. I'm
I've
sorry,
used
but
that term myself, even. Yes.
I'm sorry, like Game Pass is great. I think Game Pass is a brilliant service, and I definitely do think people do actually buy into Xbox for Game Pass. But realistically, for the big numbers, tens of millions, you need people to buy into your console for games.
Yes.
That's what these consoles are for. They're for bloody video games. And if you have someone like, Dave random person with a PlayStation, right? And Microsoft wants to get him into the ecosystem, how are they going to make more money, right? Do they sell that game on PlayStation and let that person buy said game that may have microtransactions? Or do they try and get that person into the entire ecosystem by buying into the console, buying a game, then maybe getting a subscription or two, then buying more games on the platform, right? I don't want Xbox to have exclusives just so I can go look at the games on this list that you can't play. I want Xbox to have exclusives simply because they can compete on a higher level, and it'll be better for everyone because Xbox can actually start growing as a brand because of the past 2 years, they haven't really done much. Right. And by the way, I think Xbox is the best console. I think they have the best hardware and the best software out. Right. This isn't me like going all crazy because when Microsoft started doing multi-platform stuff, we saw people that went off the deep end. Let's be honest, and lost their marbles. Right. I'm not like that. I like to see myself as pretty level-headed, but I can tell you right now that Xbox having, let's say, Forza Horizon 6 as an exclusive would benefit them greatly. That in my opinion, the multi-platform strategy for like big titles. And by the way, I don't think Microsoft should make every game exclusive. Right? I've been saying this for ages. I think you obviously have your things like Call of Duty that will be on everything. Your Minecraft Dungeons 2, your Kilns, stuff like that. But your big quote unquote tentpole games such as Forza Horizon 6, Halo Campaign Evolved, Gears of War E-Day, Fable, right? These games, if you have all these games as a lineup for your platform, you have something to sell. But unfortunately, Microsoft, they fight an uphill battle with this. You have all the journalists that want every Xbox game on everything. You have the gamers, air quotes, that just want everything to be on everything only when it comes to Xbox, without realizing that it might, like, look, in my opinion, the multi-platform strategy is a failed experiment and it's slightly damaged the brand.
Yep. I'd
Right?
say more than slightly.
Yeah. And do I think Microsoft can recover from this? I absolutely do. Like, look at Nintendo, right? The Wii U is a colossal failure, right? A colossal failure. And that console came out at a weird point in the generation. It was like a year before the Xbox One and PlayStation 4. And, Nintendo had the worst marketing strategy for that console. Most people didn't even know it was a new console, right? Um, and what did Nintendo do? They took a base principle idea of what worked with the Wii U. They made a brand new console that was basically just a handheld, and they did what they did best. They put their first party games only on their brand new platform, and it was a polarizing platform at the time because them only doing a new handheld and not like a full main console was like a risky move if you think about it. And what happened? They sold like 120 million switches, you know, um, and they're in a great place now. They have the Switch 2, they have tons of first party games coming out. And like if Nintendo can recover from that, I think Microsoft can definitely recover because like the Xbox Series consoles at like 40 million sold or something, right? Of course they can recover from this. Of course they can. But like I just don't understand why we okay with Nintendo doing exclusives. We're okay with Sony doing exclusives, but when it comes to Xbox, we have to say things like, "What if this game was on PlayStation?" Rather than celebrate this brand new, fresh new hot Xbox game, we have to think, "Why isn't it on Why isn't it on PlayStation yet? Why isn't it on Nintendo or whatever?" Like these are people are asking the wrong questions, right? And I like I said before, I would love it if every game was on everything, but we just don't live in that world. It's super unrealistic. Um, Now when it comes to games coming late this year, like even I've theorized that Halo would be the last multi-platform game because that's rumored to be coming out in July. It is just a campaign. There's no multiplayer. And like Gears of War E-Day, in my opinion, is the big one for this
Yeah.
year. Right, Fable's going to be big for Xbox, but I think the Gears of War E-Day is the big game, and it hasn't actually really been announced for anything other than just quote unquote Xbox
And PC. Yeah, that's
yeah,
it.
and I think that Microsoft, like looking at these numbers, seeing high numbers for a game on PC, because obviously they have the Xbox numbers as well. They shouldn't look at that and think, wow, think of how many people will get on PlayStation and Switch as well. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be looking at how many of these people would be willing to actually go out and buy hardware to play this game. Like, I live in the UK, obviously, and like racing games are huge here. Right, absolutely huge. Right, a lot of racing games do really well. You know, Gran Turismo, Forza, Need for Speed. Sometimes, you know, the F1 games. Right, racing games pop off. Right, Forza Horizon is really big in the UK, and I can tell you right now, people do buy consoles for Forza Horizon. But are they going to give it the opportunity? Because let's say if we don't even know when Forza Horizon 6 does come to PlayStation, if it does, it could be 1 year, it could be 2. I bet a lot of people would actually go out and buy an Xbox for you know, Forza Horizon 6, knowing that they're going to be able to play Gears of War A-Day. They're obviously going to be able to subscribe to Game Pass and play hundreds and hundreds of games. They're going to have access to backwards compatibility and play one of their favorite Call of Duty games from the past. But they have to let things play out. They have to actually try. And that's been my biggest problem in the past, is that Microsoft's biggest problem in the past was first-party games, right? They didn't have enough first-party studios making games. So in 2018, they bought a bunch of studios. They bought Playground Games. They bought Undead Labs. They bought Ninja Theory, right? And they got those studios to work. Then later on in 2018, they bought Double Fine. They bought Obsidian and In Exile, right? Some of these studios are yet to put big games out in that time, right? Games take a lot of time to make. We had a pandemic since then. And I'd say that a lot of first party Xbox games have had this sort of manufactured controversy when they've came out, right? Whether they've been legit or not is a different story. Like, you know, Redfall had its problems. It wasn't an immersive sim like we thought. It wasn't 60 FPS. Starfield was labeled controversial by IGN for no reason whatsoever. You know, and I want to say from basically Indiana Jones onwards, right? Indiana Jones, we can throw Forza Horizon 5 in there. From Indiana Jones onwards, Microsoft's quality of first party output went right up, right? And we've seen that this year. We saw this last year. And they have not let out their first party portfolio play out and sell out their console. They haven't. They haven't given it a chance. And I just want Microsoft to try, because let's say all these games do go exclusive, right? And let's say it doesn't work, right? Then they can still put their games elsewhere, right? Because as we've seen with certain games, bringing these games over late, they'll still sell. But at the same time, we've seen other titles launch on PlayStation, such as Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Reloaded, that didn't do well. Right? The only games that Microsoft's put over there that has done well is essentially Sea of Thieves and Forza Horizon 5.
You can add the Oblivion remake. It sold 1.3 million there. So that out of the 15 games, Jamie, if you remove those 3, it's a complete flop.
Yeah. And look, I get it. There's people that are going to disagree with me, right? If you want Xbox to do exclusives, it obviously has to be for a fanboy reason. It can't be because I want the Xbox brand to grow or stay around. You know,
be relevant.
I'll be relevant. Like, look, back in the 360, right? Xbox was the console.
Yes.
Right. Like how people's mothers refer to everything gaming as Nintendo, right? The 360 was that console, that generation, right? If you played a game on something, it was an Xbox, right? Everyone had a 360, and like back in the 7th generation, this is one of the reasons why I always talk highly about that generation. That generation was wonderful for all gamers, because even if you were third, you were still selling 90 million consoles, right? And whereas now the conversation is, hey, Xbox is third, it's the end of the world, which it isn't. Back then, the conversation was, who's trying to stay number one? Because the Xbox 360 was number one in NPD in the US for 37 months, right?
Yeah, ridiculous.
Right? The conversation was, which console's dying? The conversation was, who's competing to be number one this month? right? So, and by the way, all three platforms that generation had a big problem, which they all fixed. But like Microsoft, they came out the gate, they had a 50% failure rate on their 360. So do you know what they did? Steve Ballmer said the go ahead, Peter Moore fixed the problem, and they did. And then they started coming out with a wide variety of first party titles, along with making, marketing deals with Call of Duty, which paid in dividends that console generation, right? Then the PlayStation came out as an overpriced Blu-ray player that had no games. So do you know what they did that generation? They made a huge, wide variety of games, right? They came out with fighting games, first-person shooters, third-person shooters, right? Multiplayer games, platformers, right? So they fixed their problem, right? Nintendo had a problem where they couldn't get third-party games on the console because it wasn't powerful enough. But then midway through the generation, they sold enough consoles that third-party companies wanted to put their games on the Wii. So, but that generation, you had the Wii that was over 100 million. You had the Xbox 360 was like 90 plus million, and the PS3 at the end of the generation, because of their game output, which is why they did so good in the end, they sold over 90 million. So that generation, all fans were eating good, all companies were having huge success, and there was never any talk about this console's, it's third, it's dying. But here we are in 2026 talking about how Xbox is third and how, them putting games elsewhere isn't apparently damaging the brand. Like it's crazy. But this is just my opinion. I care about the Xbox brand. It's my favorite place to play. I think that they make the best hardware, the best games, the best services. And I would like to say that, hey, wouldn't it be cool that 20 years from now, Xbox is still here and it's thriving better than ever before? But they have to do something to change that, because I don't think Game Pass is enough.
I agree, but you know what, Jamie? I want to present you, before we welcome in Umbra, I want to present a question to you. Now, it's simplistic in nature, but as we opened up the show with, and I'm reiterating it because Umbra just joined us, PlayStation announced yesterday, via a report from Jason Schreier that was confirmed from an earlier report in March of this year, that moving forward, their single-player, story-driven, narrative-focused games are not going to PC any further. They are going to focus on putting those types of single-player experiences solely on a PlayStation device. Now, my question to the chat, my question to, of course, Jamie and Umbra is, me personally, I'm actually glad. I'm thrilled that PlayStation has come out and made this this known to everybody, right? Because this is a controlled story for sure. And we know Jason Schreier works closely with PlayStation, so of course that's why he got the scoop. And now it's widely known that moving forward, PC will only be for their games that are gas games. Now, I don't know how many of those they actually have in the tank, no pun intended, but single player games not going over to PC, strictly on PlayStation 5. So my question, gentlemen and chat, is, does this new information make Asha Sharma's job easier to bring back exclusivity to Xbox? And my answer to that, it's short, but I think it's yes. Because if Sony is full-on exclusive like Nintendo, meaning that you're not going to get a Mario on a PlayStation or a Smash Brothers on an Xbox, you want to play those types of experiences, you want Mario Kart 10 and the next whatever, F-Zero, you're playing on a Nintendo. You want the next Uncharted, you want the next God of War that they're working on, you're going to buy a PlayStation. You want to play Wolverine this year, buy a PlayStation. Because unfortunately for you, if you don't have one, you can't play it. Well, if that is in fact the case, and this is where we're going to see a lot of these, closet, analysts coming out and talking about, they need to do that for their brand, but Xbox really does need PlayStation to survive. Because that's what you're going to start to hear. Well, my short answer is I think it does make the job easier for Asha because obviously she has to report to Satya Nadella, right? And I think Satya has already said that they are all in on Xbox and bringing the brand back. And what are they doing? They're making changes every single week. We have this show, gentlemen in chat. We have something new that Xbox is doing, thanks to who? Asha Sharma, who's now in charge. So I actually think, Jamie and Umbra, that Sony coming out and saying that they are no longer going to use PC to sell their wares makes Xbox games becoming exclusive again much easier, because why would you put your best games on a box when they're not doing the same for you? Hell, they're not even putting it on PC. And see, that is the difference. Xbox is and will continue to put their games on PC, and they will get sales, lots of sales. You know why? Because their games aren't mediocre. Their games aren't mid. Their games are in bangers. And the first one right out of the gate is Forza Horizon 6. And again, if you make an announcement, I said this yesterday, I was in my feels when I said it, and I'll say it again, on fire today. If you come out with a presser and you say we are not putting Forza Horizon 6 on PlayStation 5 because we are reevaluating what exclusivity means to our platform, you will explode the internet. And everyone would not only be talking about this 92 meta game that's everybody's playing, but the fact that you pulled the rug out from the PlayStation Nation, that this game, this certified banger, is not coming to your console. You literally tore a page out of Sony's book that they just did and used it against them. And what would that do, Jamie? That would get people to want to buy this game. Now, if you're not going to play on PC and you don't have a rig that can run this thing, fine. But you can go out and buy a PlayStation. You wouldn't go buy a PlayStation. You can go out and buy an Xbox. And who out of the two bigs, not counting Nintendo, has the cheapest entry point into next generation? That's right. It would be the Xbox Series S that runs this game, by the way, excellent. And it's $400, but if they really want to just put the screws to the industry, you don't have to drop it $100. Drop it $50. Drop the Series S for $50, $349.99, and this game is out there. You will get people to buy it. And before you answer, Jamie, and before I get somebody in the chat say, well, Boom, I don't know about the stock. As of yesterday, I checked 9 of the biggest retailers here in the States, and everyone has an Xbox Series X or S for sale. Not a second hand, not a used one, not in someone's basement where they collected 1,000 of them and trying to make a profit. No. Any of the big ones, Target, Walmart, Best Buy, you name it, they all have Series X and S consoles. So again, you want to make a big splash, you want to bring back the brand, you want to be this bold Xbox that we all know that they want to be, this is how you do it. But so my question to you is very simply, and I'm sorry for being long-winded, Jamie, is does PlayStation's admission of no longer putting games on PC and simply going back to exclusivity make Asha Sharma's job harder or easier?
Oh yeah, it makes it easier. Going back to before when I was saying like Sony is willing to pay to keep games off their platform, right? We saw it with Stellar Blade, we saw it with Final Fantasy VII, and you've seen me talk about Final Fantasy quite a bit, Boom. That they paid a lot to keep that game off PlayStation, off Xbox. But and by the way, I've always thought putting games on PC is fine. I think it's a completely different user base. It's a different thing. So I personally think that PC sales of games don't hurt console sales. I get that PlayStation might think differently, but whatever. But like, I think it's going to make Asha's decision way more easier because, like, look, their next gen Xbox can also play PC games, right? And the elephant in the room for the longest time now has been, so you're going to be able to fire up your new Xbox, and let's say even if you can't directly buy games from Steam on the next Xbox, but you can still play them, right? You're still going to be able to open up your phone, buy Spider-Man, and play it on your Xbox. Like, that's the reality of the situation. And I think Sony did not like that, right?
Yep.
And you know, those games, like, we don't even know if they're going to pull those games from Steam, right? We don't know that.
I mean, Sony's petty. They certainly could.
They might do that. And I could completely see like them doing that. And like, I think that, you know, this should be a signal booster. You know, Forza Horizon 6 doing well, and PC pulling games from Steam. Like think about, like, PlayStation doesn't really do day one games with single player stuff, right? They've done multiplayer stuff, and games tend to go to PC a year minimum later. Well, they're not going to do day and date single player games. They're not, and it looks like they're not going to do single player games in general now. Bear in mind, they do have a studio that directly ports PC games, Nixus. So I don't know what's going to happen to them. But I don't see people asking that question online. I think it's going to make a job a lot easier. And rather than us all being in this like wavy gravy, let's have every game on everything. We've seen what Sony's doing. We know what Nintendo's doing. Nintendo isn't putting their games elsewhere. I think it's okay. I think it's okay if Xbox does their own thing and does exclusives, because they still have games on PC. It's part of their ecosystem. And let this competition play out. Let all three companies succeed. I do think PlayStation pulling their games from PC is a bad move in general, because you have PC gamers that they are not interested in console whatsoever, and they wouldn't have bought a console whatsoever. So, like, they, in my opinion, they're missing out on those sales from PC gamers. But otherwise, I think Asha Sharma, she has a way easier decision to make.
I agree. Hey, Umbra, welcome back, brother. Great to have you here. I'm glad that you can join us. Has been a I don't want to say a heated debate, but I would say that it is a hot button topic when it comes to exclusivity, because you got to remember, Asha, in her second day in the position, when asked about exclusives, simply said, "The plan is the plan until it's not the plan." Now, I don't necessarily know specifically if at that moment exclusivity was back on the table, but the fact that I have heard, you have heard, it's been reported that internally exclusive or exclusivity returning to Xbox is a big topic within Microsoft. And I think a game like Forza Horizon 6 that is seeing nearly 300,000 players on Steam, this is not even counting Xbox numbers, and today is just the first day of its actual official release, not counting pre-sales. The quality it is, it's a 92 meta. It is their third 90 plus meta release, going all the way back to Forza Horizon 3, 4, 5, and now 6. We knew this was going to be a banger, but now it's official, right? This is the type of game, this is the type of quality, this is the type of reception that get people to actually go out and buy a console if they don't have it, and more specifically, if there are only a few places to play it. I saw somebody in the chat, and I don't want to, say, we don't do the names thing here, so I don't want to embarrass anybody, but they literally said no racing game is a system seller. And I literally responded, "Are you kidding me?" Because I think he's wrong. Now, I don't know whether he's trolling or what, but that's a pretty dumb statement in my opinion. Yes, this right here in front of you, what's on your screen right now, is definitely a system seller. But Umbra, let's bring you in. Let's get you. Again, just for context, I want to reread exactly what this topic is. And of course, we started with the breaking news from yesterday regarding PlayStation announcing that they're no longer putting their single player games onto PC. Now, whether that comes to bite them in the ass or not, I don't know. We're certainly going to see. And we're going to see with Wolverine in September whether or not their fan base goes out to buy this game, because that's the only way you're going to be able to play it. It's not on their service, it's not available on PC. It's going to be for sale via the PlayStation Store come September. My question to you, after you give us your answer, or, your thoughts on that, is does PlayStation announcing that they have given up anything to PC moving forward make Asha Sharma's job easier to bring back exclusivity, full exclusivity to Xbox and PC?
Well, first, good morning to you both. Good morning, chat. Okay. So the problem with this is that my heart tells me yes, Xbox needs to follow suit. We've been not that we copy off of them, because we've been saying this for a while, that they need some type of exclusivity to draw people to the hardware. If for anything, the hardware specifically, right? Especially when you have a next generation Xbox looming, right? You don't have any exclusivity. You don't really give people any real reason to say, hey, I need to get this thing.
Yes.
And the advent of, I want to say the advent, but I would say the adaptation of people moving and grabbing more, or players going to gravitating to PC is problematic too, because, well, now that's a main competitor for Xbox, right? Like directly, a lot of people are moving to PC. And I would imagine many more newer gamers are likely going to be PC versus consoles. So Xbox is playing it right in terms of having this non-wall garden approach, right? So then it goes back to exclusivity. And the problem is that Sony plays a different type of game than Xbox does. And what I mean by that is they want to play, like you said, you actually said it earlier, and then they want to play the Nintendo game.
Yeah.
Right. They want to have this highly sought after exclusive, this major tentpole, this event type game, this high quality AAA, right? That says, hey, you have to come here to get this. You can't get it anywhere else. Buy a PlayStation, essentially. And it was obviously something they didn't quickly come to the decision of saying, because Schreier had said this a while back and they never actually addressed it. Hell, I don't think I don't think they hadn't said anything until now, where he's actually coming out to say it officially. And so they had to struggle with that too. The reason why they can make such a decision is because their strategy of the delayed release of the 6 months to a year or whatever, how long it would be before those games come to PC, it only gave them like 2.5% in total revenue, right? So that's more or less kind of like scraps to them, even if it did give them enough, I guess covered operation fees, maybe it covered development costs and stuff like that. The problem is the PC crowd does not play the games the way we play. Not only do they not play the games we play, they play games that we don't play, right? So they're not dependent on having any PlayStation or Xbox game. They will move on. If you say, hey, we're going to delay this for you, or we're going to not be so transparent on when it might come to you. Well, PC gamers are a different breed. They'll be like, okay, well, we won't buy your game. We'll just move on to something else. So PlayStation doing that staggered release thing kind of backfired for them, because the PC gamers are like, yeah, whatever. I'm on, Subnautica 3.5 or something right now. Like, they don't care. Like, they're on to something else, right? They have a different type of view of gaming. So now it comes into the question, how does Microsoft respond? And there goes back to the problem, because again, PlayStation has a more walled garden approach, right? Much like Nintendo, where Xbox has for the longest time been shifting to a non-walled garden design. Even the Helix is meant to breach that, right? And have this all-encompassing approach of having console and PC gaming in this box, right? it wouldn't behoove them, as they say, to have it where this is walled off, even though this is PC, a PC fusion here, where you can get these games on PC on here, but you can't get this there. Now they can make that decision, but they're going to have to be really dedicated. It can't be wishy-washy. And so what I would say is that they're going to have limited exclusivity, right? Certain titles may have to stay exclusive. I think as big as Forza has become, it's only going to get bigger. Playground, you were saying from Forza 3 to now, they had 90 plus games from Forza.
Yeah, they
3
had
to now.
Forza 3 was 91.
Yep.
And then back to back 92.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they had 4 90 plus games back to back to back to back. And back. So they I forgot one back. So all those quality games they're dropping, we see it in the Steam charts right here, and it's just Steam alone. Obviously that strategy is working. People are getting attuned to the franchise. New eyes are on it and now desire it. I am not sure. Well, obviously they wouldn't go away from PC. That ship is sailed.
No, listen, Xbox is PC is Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, even in terms of just how well it's selling, it would be shooting themselves in the foot to cut off Steam now from having Forza, right?
Of course.
But
right.
They could choose to do that for PlayStation. I don't know if they want to now though, because they're probably seeing these sales and how well it's doing and how big in the zeitgeist it is, and they're probably going to get greedy. It's a mega corporation.
It's true, but if we look at why Asha was brought in initially, like if you do any kind of like actual reading up on, we know that she came from Instacart, and her strongest skill set and why she is now the CEO of Xbox is she understands how getting a customer or consumers to invest in a particular service. Now, I know that Instacart is nothing like gaming, but just taking a step back, her job is to find a way to use what Xbox owns, and quite frankly, they have a bombastic amount of IPs. And this year, we know that they are releasing 4 big bombs, right? Forza Horizon 6 being one of them. Again, rated a certified banger. Now, this is just me speculating, Umbra, but I understand that in business, right, you have to make opportunities. They don't just come to you. And wouldn't it be a unbelievable story that, and again, this is just me speculating, if you wanted to get the eyes of the world to look at your brand, right, outside of a banger like Forza Horizon 6 releasing, and it's a 92 meta, ladies and gentlemen, it's a banger. But outside of the game being as great as it is and addictive as all H, right? If Asha were to come out, whether that be today, whether that be 2 months from now, whenever, and drop a presser that simply says, we have heard, and seconds, again, just for context, folks, second half of the show, we're going to get into what happened yesterday with the player's voice. That's going to be a part of the conversation, a smaller part, but a part of the conversation, because there is a top 10 list. And at number 1, that, again, this is from the people. You actually have to have a Microsoft account to register. So this isn't just trolls. People actually said this. Number 1 is exclusivity. That was the number 1 choice. But just bringing it back real quick before I hand the mic over to Umbra. If Asha were to come out and drop a presser that said, as we continue to reevaluate what exclusivity means for our platform's growth, we are indefinitely postponing the release of Forza Horizon 6 on PlayStation, and cut it short. That's it. Well, when is it coming out? We are going to continue to reevaluate what growth on our platform means, and that platform will continue to be Xbox branded hardware and PC. And if they do that, and they do it in a way that is going to bring a ridiculous amount of eyes, and some people will say backlash. I don't think so. Yes, it was announced for PlayStation. That's fine, but things change. And again, go right back to her second day on the job. The plan is the plan until it's not the plan. So maybe the plan was to put this game out this year because of the money factor. But what if they're trying to rebrand Xbox and bring back console sales, which is an important part of growth of your platform? Well, what you do is you take a game that is a certified banger that was announced for PlayStation, and you say, we have changed our minds. We're not releasing it there because we want to grow our platform. And that platform is on PC and on Xbox hardware. And unlike Sony, who literally just said, we're not even going to PC, we're simply going to put Wolverine on one place to play, and that is where you're going to have to play. It's a big difference, Umbra.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big difference. The problem is I just don't expect her to do it. Again, Microsoft, they want their big return on investment. They see how well this is doing. I just don't believe they're going to be like, yeah, let's pull this back and keep it here. I just don't see it. Not currently. Now, to your point, if they did do that, for them to actually turn that around and just say, hey, you need to get an Xbox. Forza alone won't do it, but they have so many other superb titles coming up, right?
Yeah.
You got E-Day, you got Halo, you got all these other titles, you got Clockwork Revolution, you got all these other games and games they got in incubation. All of those are going to have to hit too. All of those are going to have to be, hey, you can only get this over here. That's the way that has to work. So it's going to take a reorganization.
But it starts with just one dude.
Efforts. It's got to be a whole big thing, because as some people may buy or get a platform for one game, I would venture to say most won't, right? Unless they're like these Madden / NBA 2K type style players, the casuals. They might do that because they're like, oh, well, we're just getting it for this. They just play sports games or something like that, right? Or Fortnite. But the majority, I would imagine, well, it was more casuals than anybody, so maybe that is the majority. I don't know. But I would imagine most want a bigger value. So they want more than one game or two games that's going to pull them to something. So in my opinion, I feel like it's got to be a bigger effort. It can't just be one game. It can start with Forza, but it can't end just with Forza. It's got to be, they have to say that about all upcoming major hitters, right? It has to be, well, this is only here. This is only here. And that's got to continue that messaging. The backlash absolutely would be there. So I know you were saying that you don't think the backlash would be there. That backlash would absolutely be there. Mind you, these people, in the media and everything else, they get on Xbox case about anything. You shared a tweet actually earlier on
by Polygon. Yeah,
exactly. That even, they will turn something that's seemingly positive into a negative. Imagine something they can actually sell as negative as a negative, right? To the gamers you've catered to before. Now you're cutting away from. They would absolutely find an angle to make this a big bad, Microsoft again. So I disagree there. I think there absolutely rather will be backlash, and there'll likely be some of our Hoof brothers over there whining too in their stables. But my thing is, somebody said it in the chat earlier, it is not Microsoft's job to cater to PlayStation gamers. They're absolutely correct. I think it was Wade Johnson. You're absolutely correct. Thing is that they have to really stick with that. I don't feel they'll do it. And I don't know if she, I'm not going to say she doesn't have the cojones to do it. I just don't know if they have that type of killer mentality that we want them to have right now.
Well, can I just add a pinch of context to kind of just add to what you're saying, and maybe it might answer the question that you're asking. So this particular year, why I think this strategy could work, and folks, let's be clear. I'm a retired cop that became a podcaster, and I love what I do. I have fun with this every day. I'm not an analyst. I don't have a business degree. But what I do have a great deal of is common sense. So here is my common sense take on what Umbra's saying. This year in particular is a year of transition. Why? Grand Theft Auto 6. Not Halo, not Gears, not Wolverine, none of those games. The year of transition is due to one game that has been in development in some form or fashion since 2013. And that game is coming out in November 19th, more specifically. Okay. That one game has the ability to potentially have millions upon millions upon millions of gamers move to the next generation because they're going to have to do that. There's not going to be a choice. It's not going to be like, oh, it's going to come out on the old PlayStation 4s and Xbox Ones, but if you want a better looking version, you have to get a new next gen console. No, it's next gen only. So Xbox could logistically, and again, this is just my opinion, could use that to their advantage because we are many, many months away from November, right? But what we are, where we are currently, the entry point into next gen, the cheapest way to get there is an Xbox Series S console. And a game like Forza Horizon, a game like Gears of War, a game like Halo Combat Re-Evolved, those games are lookers. And a lot, I'm not saying all, I'm saying there is a great number of current PlayStation 4 users that were in fact Xbox 360 players. And then in 2013, they transitioned where to PlayStation 4 for power and price. That's something that Sony had over the Xbox One. Bad messaging and marketing, of course, that didn't help their situation either. So, Umbra, I understand what you're saying, that it can't be just this one game, but this is a zeitgeist type of experience. This is not your average, your typical racer. This is not your typical Need for Speed. This is an open world arcade racer that you can play solo or with your friends. And if it looks as good as it does, it's been as rated as high as it is, the normies are going to start listening and watching what the hardcore are talking about. That's how these things happen. So again, sure, are there holes in my plan? Absolutely. But if you're asking why someone would choose a Series S, it's not for this one game. They're going to choose a Series S because it's the most cheapest entry point to next gen. But if Xbox presents a case that you could only play this experience on this box or PC, it's going to give someone an idea that maybe, because, and again, it's a double-edged conversation. Not only will they only be able to play a game like this on an Xbox or PC, but because the Series S is cheaper by a significant amount, and that's without a price cut. If Xbox is listening and they really want to go for the juggler, they could drop each of the consoles $50. I know Will had dropped a super chat in here where he said that they could do a $50 gift card with it, right? And have that go towards the purchase of a game. However they would want to do it, they have an opportunity because of one particular game that they don't own that's releasing this year that is going to force gamers on old hardware to upgrade. They have the IP, and this is one of them, Umbra, that if they saw it, they could play it on this new console where they can also play GTA 6. I understand it's my opinion, and I'm not a business analyst, but I think what I just presented is a really good case, Umbra.
No, I think this is the problem. See, you're speaking of it from a perspective of they could shift this around and they have to make these certain moves. We agree there. Thing is, they have to do a lot of shifting, right? Mm-hmm. That's the problem. The problem isn't that they couldn't cater to the console agnostic or not agnostic, console exclusive crowd and say you can only get this here. They can do the walled garden thing. They could. They just have to dramatically shift everything they've been doing, and that's the problem. Everything they've done has been ecosystem, has been you can play this anywhere. You can play any game anywhere. You can get all your games over here on PC. You can get PC games over here, right? We got our games even on PC. They have to shift all of that, and it's a very dramatic shift. I'm not saying they can't do it. They have to be super dedicated to it. The problem is, and the Broke Boy said it in the chat, and this is why I paused, because you know how I felt on Sharma initially, Boom. I'm like, okay, maybe I was wrong. The bigger problem is the bald-headed man behind her, and even his henchman, Amy Hood. I don't feel like they're going to see this and be like, yeah, let's go back to exclusivity.
I think they have to, though, man, because
I mean, maybe, but I'm saying about reality, like we want that. It makes sense for the brand in terms of bringing people to your console. That makes sense. I don't know if they look at it the way we do, right? I don't think they do. And maybe they're seeing numbers or something we're not privy to that informs them to say, no, we got to stay on this path. I don't know. And it's not like these execs or whatever always make the best and right decisions either, right? Maybe they make a decision that is stupid. Maybe your thought process is absolutely A1 and it would be for the best. I don't know if we'll ever see that, though, with him being in charge and Amy Hood being there watching pockets, right?
Can I ask you one other question?
Sure.
Do you consider Project Latitude to be a failure?
In terms of
I mean, the numbers, just no opinions, just go on the numbers. The numbers are they put 15 games onto PlayStation 5. The three top sellers are Forza Horizon. It's probably up at 6 million now. It was 5.8 a couple of weeks ago, and of course, with this coming out, it's probably went up a little bit. So let's just say it's 6 million, right? Across nearly 100 million consoles. Some people consider that good. Some people consider it bad. That's fine. The next runner-up would be Sea of Thieves. I think it was like 3.8 million. And then the one underneath that, the closest one was the Oblivion remake at 1.3 million. Now, if you take away those 3 games, the other 12 flopped, right? So, again, it's a simple question. If what they and I've said this to you before, Umbra. If what Phil, Sarah, and the former Xbox team was doing worked, Phil would have stayed on until the next console, and Sarah would have taken over for him, as we all thought that she would, and everything would have been great. And then they would have put everything everywhere. But they brought Asha Sharma in because what they were doing was a colossal failure, and the money proves it, because they only made, and I'm not being facetious, 667 million across 15 games. And if you remove 3 games from the scenario, it's an epic flop. So that epic flop did what? Damaged the brand in a way where it may never come back. We don't know, but it seems like it is coming back because things are being said. Different things are being enacted. And again, you're right. With Satya there, who's to say that he's going to give her carte blanche to go and say, bring back exclusives? But I don't think they bring her in to do status quo. I don't think they can even bring her in to do same as before, but different. I think it has to be drastically different. You're right to caution whether or not you believe they're going to get there. But again, just my question to you is, do you think Latitude failed? I actually think that it did.
Yeah, it's obvious it failed, right? I was going to say, well, considering certain games did well, Forza being one of them, right?
Yeah.
Very clearly, the one that outdid everything else. Forza did well, but I think that, to me, informed us that multiplayer games, the strategy of keeping those multiplayer makes sense. Forza being multiplayer, to me, makes sense. That's also partly why I'm like, should they pull Forza back, seeing how it's a multiplayer title anyway, and it's bringing in so much bank? Would they even do that, seeing how it would cut into their profits? I don't know. I don't think they would, right? And it being my stance has always been single player games, make them exclusive again, right? That's been my thing. Single player, make exclusive, especially tent poles. You do not bring Halo and Gears over there. I've always thought that was stupid. Even if I was willing to accept that that's their plan, I've always thought that was nonsensical. They are tent poles. Halo is what built Xbox. You don't do that. I don't think you can uncork that genie, right? I don't think you could put that genie back in a bottle once you do that. Same with Gears, but Halo in particular is to me a bridge too far. I think we all agree.
Yeah.
So the problem for me is not so much that Forza is great, because Forza 6 is spectacular. I have 40 plus hours in it already. Boom. I've covered, I think, more the map than you even already, even though
I'm just a pinch under 600. I thought I was higher.
Yeah.
I just hit level 137 on the game.
Nice. I think you're like maybe I think I'm at 120 something. But now this is me consuming all of that in record time. The game is absolutely spectacular. All of that said, and I know that it's going to do gangbusters. We've seen how it's already working. Obviously, it's going to be something that a lot of our Hoove brothers are going to be salivating to get, right? And for good reason. It's a spectacular game. I don't know if they'll say, hey, we bought into this walled exclusivity thing over here on PlayStation, and they have all these different games that we say we want. Would I go get an entire new Xbox, even if it's the S that's cheaper, relatively cheaper, because it's still $400? And because one thing I've and I say this to say, because one thing I've confirmed talking to a lot of our Hoove brothers in spaces and things like that over time is that there are a few things that matter to them more than anything else. Exclusivity is one. Super high graphical fidelity games is two. Even more than story. I've heard them literally say that.
Yep.
More than gameplay. Visuals matter more to them than that. I've heard them say this. So I don't know if the S will be appealing to them because of the tech limitations compared to a Pro. They've all probably, like a lot of them, probably shifted to the Pro, or at least pretend like they have with the Pro, and they don't. They like to lie a lot, I've noticed. But it's one thing I've noticed is that they have certain specific ways of how they look at things that's a little different than the Xbox crowd. And so they love having something that's super high visual. They've been conditioned to love these over the shoulder, third person, sad dad walking sim, right? So how does that translate in terms of them approaching Xbox type games? Xbox has, to me, and Sony used to have this, Xbox has more diversity than any other platform, well, aside from Nintendo. Nintendo and Xbox have the most diversity in terms of games they offer you. I think we can all agree there, right? Even I think Sony diehards would agree now that that's much the case. And so the problem is they've been conditioned to have those types of games in their mindset. And will they go and say, hey, we're going to shift back and go back to this? I think Microsoft is making all the right moves in terms of saying you should be in this ecosystem. You should be involved with us. They have so many great games coming out. They've released so many great games. The cadence of releases has been superb. All these great things. If PlayStation had even a modicum of this, we'd be singing their praises song to the high heavens by all the media, right? Xbox doesn't have the luxury of having the media glaze them like PlayStation does, unfortunately. So I already know it's going to be negativity attached to whatever positive move Xbox does by somebody, and that's going to take precedent over the positivity. So now they have an uphill battle to fight, and they have to have that fight. We've said this already, right? We're talking about how Asha has to be 10 toes down and saying, F the media. I'm going to say what I have to say. We're going to do what we got to do anyway.
Yep.
Not to say F them if we're not going to deal with you necessarily, but F what you're talking about. We're going to sell our vision. We're going to sell what we're talking about over what you're trying to push, your propaganda, right? They have to be 10 toes down with that. I'm not saying she's not. I don't know enough. I'm skeptical still because I didn't like how they moved what they did with Sarah. But that's the move they have to make. They have to be dramatic. Like you said, it has to be a dramatic shift. Not to say they can't do it. We've already seen like the positive energy around the team. You're seeing them online. They're smiling more, it seems. Their posts are happy. All pro Xbox, right? It's been a lot of positivity in Xbox's way. And I think that energy is clearly happening behind the scenes. Will they shift that energy to say, let's shift strategies back to some form of exclusivity? If they're talking about it behind the scenes, and we heard reports of that, I believe that that's a truthful thing. I think that's real. How serious are they going to take that? Because to me, if you're really serious about that, then Campaign Evolve needs to be canceled going to PlayStation right now.
It absolutely should. I've been saying that for weeks. Again, some people are going to accuse me of console warring for saying that, but I and Jamie, you've made mention of this before. Whenever you, as an Xbox player, would say, "Oh, this should be exclusive to Xbox because you're console warring," but when it's PlayStation, no, PlayStation can't put Uncharted on Xbox. Are you kidding me? God of War on Xbox? That's disgusting. That shouldn't happen. What's wrong with you? But it goes back to why we even started this conversation. If it's Xbox, their games should be everywhere because. But if it's Nintendo and it's PlayStation, hold the phone. We don't put those games anywhere else. We don't do that here. Again, it's a very odd and head-scratching double standard. And this isn't just
It's
a game
very much
community.
a double standard. That much is
It's
certain.
the games media as well.
It's a double standard, right? And that's why I say it's an uphill battle they have to fight, because they have to go against all that, and they can do it. They just have to change their mindset. It can't be all
You're just questioning the tenacity that's required.
Yeah. They're gonna have to. It can't be the whole previous, like, and I love Fieldham, don't get me wrong, it cannot be the whole kumbaya nice guy.
I agree. No, again, no smoke for him. Awesome
Yeah,
human being.
all love to him, right?
Saved Xbox.
That's who he is. Exactly. That's who he is as a person. I get it. But they cannot afford to do that if they want to shift strategies the way you're talking about. It can be done. I'm with you. And I think it will be the smart thing to do, because they have to have something to say, this is why you have to have this Xbox, this next gen and going forward, because it won't be enough that it's the most powerful console. It won't be enough that it allows for games preservation. It won't be enough that it has great games coming for it. It should be enough. That should be enough, right? Like, where I'm at with it. It should.
I know exactly where you're at with it. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, because Xbox is the best console out there, in my opinion, period, even than the Pro. I know some people say, well, the Pro got this. I don't care. It's very minimal. It doesn't matter much.
It's 3%, brother. That's
it's only 3%.
What it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even beyond that, I'm talking about all the tangibles, the ecosystem itself. That's what Xbox is so strong at. They have to play to that and say, hey, well, now you have this major reason to invest in us again, because you can only get this here. I've been steadfast in that. You've been steadfast in that. Jamie's been steadfast in that. They have to have some form of exclusivity. I'm with you on that. I'm saying that I want them to do that just for the system or the platform's strength, especially going forward. I don't know that they will. That's where I'm at. I'm not certain. I'm not saying they won't do it. I'm just saying I'm not certain. By the way, I wanted to address a few comments. Gogo, I don't think that Sony's unstoppable. Nothing I said had gone toward that direction. I'm not talking about Sony. I'm talking about the gamers. It's the gamers' mindset that have to be changed. Sony is not doing anything more spectacular than they've ever done at all. Sony, right, to me, has had releases that have been like, whatever, don't care. Right? I'm not in any rush to play Saros. I was not in any rush to play Yote. I haven't touched either of them. I'm not saying they're not good games, but they don't. I'm not looking at them like, man, I got to go get Saros right now. And apparently, many PlayStation fans have the same mindset.
Yeah, the total number was about 300K they sold, which is a lot lower than what they did with Returnal.
Exactly. So it's not anything about Sony's unstoppable. No, I don't think that at all. I think Microsoft has the better strategy. I think Microsoft has the better games, flat out. And to our brother, who is it? What is it? Malachias. He says that Sony does have some great games, which I'll acknowledge, by the way. He says that Sony has Neo 3, Sons of Sparta. Sons of Sparta was garbage, though, brother. Sorry. Sons of Sparta. They have Marathon, MLB The Show, Saros. MLB The Show is on Xbox, too, by the way. And
Marathon is also a multi-plat.
And Marathon, too, right. I forgot all about Marathon. Marathon is... So. Yeah, Marathon's on Xbox as well, and it's not even doing exceptionally well. Now his point was that they've evolved in terms of having different gameplay styles, to be fair to him. I agree, but that's not outside of what they've always done, right? When I'm talking about diversity, I'm talking about having all these other IP, the platformers, they're anything beyond the typical major AAA that they invest in nowadays. The major, because Neo 3 is not a Sony title. They don't own that. That is what you call it. Not Bandai Namco.
Oh my god.
What's their name? Ninja or maybe Sony might own the actual Neo license, though. To be fair, they might actually own the IP, but I got to look into that. But they don't make that, right? That's the people who make Ninja Gaiden, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. The Tecmo. Is it? Hold on, let me see. I'm sorry.
I almost said Ninja Theory, but it's not. It's oh my god, chat, help us out. Who made let's see, let me go to the chat. Team Ninja. Yes, thank you, Arthur Shu. Appreciate that.
That's it, Team Ninja. I could not get that name in my head to save my life. And look, again, I'm not trying to down their games. I know that I've said Koei Tecmo, but I guess it's Team Ninja. So my thing is and it's Platinum too. Okay, and all love to them. I'm sure the game is going to be great. I've seen good things about it. And I'm not trying to trash their games, right? I'm just saying that for my buck, Xbox has the better games, and I'm not saying that because I've been more placed to Xbox than anything else than PlayStation. I think they have all of that. Just to wrap it up, again, I feel like I'm with you, Boom, that they should do that. I don't know if they have the temerity and the the will to do what needs to be done when it comes to that. That's the thing, and I don't know if they'll have, even if she has the will the people over her in terms of Satya or the Amy Hoods, will they allow that? Will the people above them say, okay, yeah, do what you got to do? I'm wrapping it up, sir. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, listen, brother, this is a conversational podcast. Sometimes we do 3 topics, and each one is evenly 30 minutes, and then other topics have a lot of valleys and peaks. And this is one of those topics that is not heated in this form that we are mad with each other, but everyone has a passionate take, and that's what makes having these conversations very important for not only the gaming community but my specific channel. We don't console war here, and I really hate the fact that I get roped into console warring. I want Xbox to be a better brand. Just like Umbra, just like Jamie, we want a strong Xbox in the market, because when you have a strong platform, you continue to get strong games like what you're seeing on the screen. So this isn't console warring. And again, I get a little aggravated when I get accused of that, because I see the same thing. And again, I said it before, and I hate to sound like a broken record, but why is it okay for Sony to do certain things, and they're the same in the marketplace as Xbox? One has sold more consoles than the other. That is really about it. Xbox has advantage on almost everything that Sony doesn't. They have a first-party roadmap. They have incredibly high-rated games. They have games coming out this year in a boat ton. They have been the talk of the town since new leadership has taken over. Their consoles, regardless of what IGN and all these other hack sites tell you, is a great piece of hardware, both of them. And there are people, and again, I have to keep saying this, people that are playing on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 4 Pro and Xbox Series 1 X and S are playing at barely 1080p. You give them a Series S, and it's going to be a massive upgrade for their eyeballs. And when you have games like what's on your screen, getting them in the door because GTA is going to be the one that forces them to upgrade, you have an opportunity. Again, opportunities in business don't always present themselves. Xbox has been presented a massive opportunity that they need to take advantage of. And that's why you saw the change in leadership early on this year, because big changes like what Umber was hoping to see at some point don't just happen overnight. They take succession. And I am in Asha's camp. I think she is leading up to the potential of announcing exclusivity to come back maybe in June. And from February to June, what has she done? Well, she's done a lot for the brand. The brand itself has completely done a 180 since her taking over. And this is no slight, once again, to Phil, Sarah, and the former Xbox team, because you saw a lot of executives leave. Why did they leave? Because they were Phil hired people. They were Sarah hired people. Well, now you have someone in charge that's bringing in her own team. And those changes have been very, very noticeable. Every week that we're on our shows, whether it be Jamie's show, whether it be The Fix on Thursday with Umber, or any of the 5 shows that I do, we are consistently talking about what Xbox is doing. And it's one positive story after another. Sometimes in a week, guys, it's 3 positive stories. And we have actually a positive story to get into, which of course this is a long show. And if you like the commentary, hit the like button. But Umber knocked it out of the park. Of course, Jamie completely knocked it out of the park. And I think the chat has been pretty fair. I mean, outside of a couple of comments that I won't, again, we don't do the names thing because we don't want to embarrass anybody. Have your opinion. But I think that this ideology of, well, it's not okay for PlayStation and Nintendo to put their games on anywhere else, but Xbox, well, hold the phone. They need PlayStation because they sold more consoles. That statement not only is ridiculous, but I can chop it down into little pieces. If the 100 million console owners for PlayStation 5 or near 100 million console owners really gave a shit about Xbox games, they would have made billions by putting their games over on that piece of hardware, not 667 million. And if you take away 3 games there, the other 12 completely flopped. So if they really cared about the experiences that Xbox continues to try and bang their head against the wall to get people to play, it failed. Project Latitude is an ultimate flop outside of a couple of small instances. Forza Horizon 5 being one of them. That's
Agreed.
It,
and to me, I think it's done more damage than good.
100% it's done damage. Yep. Yeah. But listen, gentlemen, I have to catch up on Super Chats, and my God, there are so many of them. So let me catch on those. And then I don't know how much time you have. I didn't want it to be brief, but we have to talk about the newly announced Xbox Player's Voice. I have a couple of quotes, a couple of pressers from Xbox, from Jason Ronald, from Stein. Idle Sloth has a list out, and Hazardor Gaming had put something in the chat. So first of all, Hazardor, brother, great to see you here. Please continue to do the incredible work that you do on Twitter. Again, if you're not following Hazardor Gaming, I'll drop his link in there. Follow this man if you want honest opinions, but also a bunch of incredible gaming news that he consistently puts out there. But Black Sausage 86 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, the most tone-deaf thing Xbox could do at this point is port more tentpole titles to PlayStation 5. Cancel the ports for Gears of War, Gears, Forza, Halo, and Fable. F and boom. I mean, again, I just said it, and I didn't even read your super chat. Microsoft specifically, if Microsoft wants Xbox to succeed, and they do not want to follow the failed pattern that they are trying to get out from under, stop banging your head against the wall because the games are not selling on PlayStation. Okay? I'm in the camp that even though this did sell, Forza Horizon 5 did sell, if you were, again, it's one of those stupid puns. You gave them a taste. Now, if they want the part 6, they got to come over to Xbox, right? If that's what they want to do, then do that. You want to play 5? It's there. Go play 5. But if you want to play 6, this is where you got to go. Go to PC or go to Xbox. That's how you make a story. That's how you use a potential negative story into a positive, because people will be like, oh, wait a second. 5 was dope. I played that on my PlayStation 5. That's not going to, we're not getting 6. They go look at 6 and everyone's playing it. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's enjoying it. That is one of those situations where, yeah, maybe it's not the sole purpose to get you into the ecosystem, but actually, yesterday, Forza Belvedere actually said that for many, many years in the industry, there's been a PlayStation user or an Xbox user, and their secondary console has always been a Switch. Now, the Switch 2 isn't really blowing anyone's skirt up, right? It's not been a lot of really big games. It's been a couple, right? But what if a PlayStation player instead of having a Nintendo Switch or Switch 2 as their secondary console, what if they had a Series S or an X as their secondary console? I'm just saying it's a possibility that they could have a secondary console to play games that they can't get on their PlayStation. Again, it's just just a ridiculous an additional rant. But Mac22 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, Jamie, there's a reason why Microsoft Xbox is trading at $419.23 and Sony is trading at $23. If your neighbor is burning down his house, should you do the same? The answer is don't burn anyone's house, but certainly not your own, and don't follow anybody. Don't be a follower, folks. Be a leader. Thanks for that, brother. And that's a great point. I mean, it's 10 times. It's unbelievable what they're trading. Ray Chi in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat. He says, hate when they tell me to go to PlayStation if you want J games. And he's talking about the Japanese games. They've been saying that for years. And now those Japanese type experiences have come to Xbox by the boatload. And they should, because there are millions and millions of players like Jamie who like JRPGs, like myself, like Umbra. And they again, Xbox just needs to make it known that people were going to buy their games. And that's why you see Square putting everything over there. That's why you see a lot of games that would traditionally only go to PlayStation are now coming to Xbox. House Flan, who's been a channel member for 33 months, so brother, that's very kind of you and very generous. Thank you for that. He says, Elder Scrolls and Fallout need to be exclusive, both with Move systems. Well, going back to Fuzzy Belvedere, he actually said that what they should do, and he had this incredible like rant about how they should handle that. Activision for the streets, right? Unless it's a new IP, then you can turn around and make that a year exclusive. Xbox Game Studio titles exclusive straight up. But for Bethesda, how I would do it if I was in charge, at least 1 year exclusive. So Elder Scrolls 6 coming out, Xbox. 18 months, you'll see it on PlayStation. That's how I would do it. And what would you get people to do? Buy your console. Why? Because it's a timed exclusive, and that would work for Bethesda games because they've always been for the streets. But you know what? You do a timed exclusive. And if you're wondering why, how would that work for Bethesda? Well, they did PlayStation 5 exclusives for 2 games before they changed leadership over at Bethesda, right? And he's like, Pete Hines like, oh, well, we want everyone to play. But you took 2 PlayStation deals and you locked up 2 of their games for over a year. So, yeah, I don't know how that worked out. And that's why Pete Hines is not there anymore. You talk about you want everybody to play, but you took a PlayStation deal times 2. So, yeah, I don't know so much about that. But, yeah, that's how I would do it. In 12 to 18 months on Bethesda games, all Activision games for the street except for new IP, and all Xbox Game Studios exclusive. That's how I would do it. And you would get people to buy your console because your console, again, folks, not to be like a jerk about it, they have the cheapest entry point into next gen. And if your secondary console is a Series S, I don't think you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. Judah Roars drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, people say exclusives are bad because movies and music don't have them, but games are bigger than both industries combined. So who should we be learning from who? Well, again, it's we keep talking about it. Double standards. PlayStation exclusivity, thumbs up. Nintendo, that's who they are. Xbox, they shouldn't be allowed. How dare they? That's ultimately what it is. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's going to be very interesting. Double K24, who's been a channel member of my God for damn near 60 months. So that is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much for the support. He says, I wonder why the meta isn't rated higher than 92 if it's better than the last few releases, maybe because it's Xbox. I mean, there was a couple of 80s in there, which I don't know if it's how they score it. They only use like a 5-star system. So they give 4 stars out of 5, and there's no half. Some people rate it like that. It's an 80. So that 80 would drop it down, but 92 is nothing to sneeze at. It's me, the broke boy. I had mentioned this before. He had dropped a $5 super chat. He says, new marketing for Xbox to add Series S, $350 plus a $50 gift card to put towards a certain auto game that would be Grand Theft Auto mentioned without mentioning. Yeah, I mean, you certainly can do that. I mean, the marketing for the console is obviously going to be on PlayStation, but you still, I don't know how ironclad, like, I'm sure Xbox is going to be able to say, hey, you can buy Grand Theft Auto. I don't know if how they could market it. That's going to be very interesting to see. Jay Slay in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, Boom, can you explain why you're so passionate for exclusives returning and list the benefits for us for the core? We may disagree, but we're all still friends. Oh, no, Jay, absolutely, brother. Listen, my whole thought process for exclusivity is a double-sided coin. One, they tried putting games on PlayStation and it failed. The other side of things is the Xbox brand is weak right now. It has bent the knee. It went multi-plat. I said this before. Satya and the board chased customers they didn't have, and they forgot about the hardcore. In any industry, whether it be comics, film, anime, statues, toys, collectibles, gaming, your hardcore are the ones that spend the most. Marvel's a perfect example of it. Yes, you get a lot of normies. You got a lot of casuals to go see, Avengers, whatever. But the hardcore, like me, will pay that $25 IMAX ticket, that $30 IMAX ticket times 3, because I'll go see it 3 times in IMAX before I buy it digitally. So when you cut them out, you've now cut your nose off to spite your face. So you tried to sell the PlayStation. They gave you the finger. You try to go back to your hardcore, and you lost a lot of your hardcore because you went multi-plat. Now you're kind of stuck holding your thing in your hand. That's ultimately what happened to Xbox. So right now the brand is weak. It's broken, but not for much longer because new leadership is turning that around. And they know it's broken. Satya knows it's broken. That dude showed up to a town hall in an Xbox hoodie. That's the head of Microsoft. He did that because he understands that his decisions, along with Amy Hood, almost killed this brand. So we'll see. We'll see if Asha's able to turn it around. I believe she can. I hope that's a long, short answer, Jay. But thank you so much for the $5 super chat. It's me, the broke boy. Drops a very generous $2 super chat and says Xbox PC app now has the new logo splash on launch. Yes, I did see that. Some people were posting that. Shout out to you, Will. Thanks so much for the info. Sir C. Julius drops a very generous $10 super chat. It says, Boom, getting a lot of smoke online. I don't think he's console warring. Don't you have a favorite sports team? Don't you want them to win in the championship? In gaming, it's no different. Cut it out. Brother, thank you so much for the Earth Defense Force. Julius, I have been very pointed in the last couple of weeks about this exclusivity shit. And I say that because I have a platform, and I know that when I started YouTube, my brother told me that the minute I gained any kind of traction, people were going to come for me. He knows how I am emotionally on stuff like this. Like I take it to heart, but no longer, because I've been doing this for so long. It's like when I was a cop in the city, I honestly, in my precinct, in my area that I covered, I was known as officer friendly. That's not bullshit. Like I was the cop that everyone wanted to shake the hand of because I love everybody. I treated everyone equally. I don't care what your color of your skin, your status with financials, your orientation, none of that mattered. Your religion, nothing that mattered. You're a person. Hi, I'm Officer Craig Ravitch. Nice to meet you. And I was known as officer friendly. You don't get that by being a dick. So the same way I conducted myself, or how I conduct myself here, is how I was in uniform. I loved to work with everybody, and I loved working with the community. And I went out of my way every single day, because I was taught this when I was a rookie, to help at least one person, just one person. But I always did extra because I wanted to help as many people. That's what I swore. I took an oath, and I wanted to uphold that oath until I retired. And well, here I am. Unfortunately, people are going to try and bring you down and try to use negativity against me. Listen, I want Xbox. That's my favorite brand. I'm a Steeler fan, right? So I always root against the Ravens, but I would never want to see their quarterback go down with a knee injury, like an ACL or something like that, because that's horrible. I want to beat the Ravens, but I don't want to see anybody hurt. I want to see Xbox win. I don't want to see PlayStation or Nintendo lose. I have their consoles. But for me personally, I'm a bot. And maybe I'm not as extreme. And I say this all the time. I think that this community is better every day by having Dirk Riggedy and Sean and Joey and Ray. I talk about them all the time. They're my favorite podcast to listen to. I listen to them more than just what I'll listen to it once and listen to it again. I listen to their stuff all the time. I think they're absolutely necessary for the community. But I don't go as extreme, but that doesn't mean I'm not a bot. I want Xbox to win. I don't care about being a bot. That doesn't bother me at all. I am a fan of Xbox. I want Xbox to win. I want Xbox to be strong. Well, they're getting back to it, but for many, many years, they've been weak, man. This, and again, Jumbo, you said it, this kumbaya thing, everybody play together, hold hands, and fuck that. And that's my one F word. No, that doesn't work in business. You want to be competitive, you got to sometimes slap it on the table and let them know what you're working with. And right now, the biggest one is Xbox. Pause or whatever you want to say. But I hope that answers the question. Thank you so much for that, brother. And now I don't know if it's Moccasin. I think that's what it is. Moccasin. If that's it, if I butchered your name, I'm so sorry. He drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, "I'm saying this as someone who is pro bringing back exclusivity. If they do it just to expect some studio closures, or if they do it, expect some studio closures or to be folded into others. I don't necessarily think so. I mean, you might be onto something, but the coalition isn't going anywhere. As a matter of fact, I don't even think Double Fine is going anywhere. Yeah, they put out a game that kind of flopped. Kill, no one's playing it. I played it, I enjoyed it, but it's a kind of like a MOBA, so it's not really for me. I put a couple of hours into it. I'm like, okay, I got my fill. But, they're still an art house studio, and that's what they do. Now, if they come out with Psychonauts 3, which I think they're working on, and supposedly they're working on, and there's the rumor, a remake, full-on from the ground-up remake of Psychonauts 1, that will sell for sure. But we'll see. Hopefully there are no studio closures. Your baby's Farva drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, "Boom, my brother, there's nothing wrong with console warring. It's no different than rooting for your favorite sports team over another. Lean into it. Your team Xbox through and through." I mean, listen, I don't want to see Sony lose, but I definitely want to see Xbox win. And that's, again, people, it's a double standard. But listen, gentlemen, I'm so sorry that this has gone so long. Jamie, I want to bring you in. I want to get your thoughts on this. Now, yesterday, outside of the big news from PlayStation circling the wagons, there was an announcement. I got the presser in front of me from the official Xbox site on Twitter. And it is for a program called Player Voice. And I'm going to read the presser verbatim. It goes on to say, "Got thoughts on what to share? We want to hear them. Today, we launched Xbox Player Voice, your spot to share feedback, track what happens next, and see your ideas in action. Find out more." Now, I'm not going to go into the actual into the web post, but I do want to read a couple of posts from Jason Ronald and Stein. And Jason Ronald wrote, "Player feedback has always been at the heart of what has made Xbox great. Now, we have an official channel where you can tell us what you like, areas that we can improve, and share ideas that will shape the future of Xbox. Let your voice be heard. We are listening. We are Xbox." And I think that's fantastic. I mean, again, this is the vice president of Next Generation. Well, Stein, who of course, if it does not ring a bell, and it should, because that guy has been crazy on the socials recently. He is the senior social media manager at Xbox. Well, Stein had this to say simply: ready to help shape Xbox? We've launched a new feedback site for y'all to let us know what you want us to work on. And look, there are just a couple of points, right? Small quotes, but the ramifications on this are huge. And because we had nearly an hour and a half of talking about exclusivity, thanks to Idle Sloth, Jamie, Umbra, and chat, here are your top 10 as of today player voice feedback. And Hazardor Gaming had made mention of this. Number 1 is exclusivity. This is now, just so you know, you have to have a Microsoft account to literally register your vote or your opinion. So this isn't just trolls on an internet somewhere. You actually have to have a Microsoft account to do this. You have to sign in to do this. Number 1, exclusivity. Number 2, backwards compatibility. Now, me personally, I like that because there's a lot of Activision games, and Jamie, you've talked about this to the point of nauseum. When are we getting the Activision games? Well, number 3, make online multiplayer free to access. That's a really big one. Number 4, achievements. And we know that they're working on that right now as we speak. This is a big one, in my opinion. Number 5, Xbox Game Pass family plan, which I think a lot of people would really like. Number 6, allow disc-based games with Project Helix. Number 7, this was a bit of a surprise, Xbox avatars to make a return. I actually like the avatars. I used to buy clothes for them all the time. I think the one I used the most was the Splinter Cell one, and I actually won that in the game, I think. Number 8, allow Xbox. Now, this is pretty cool. Allow Xbox to record voice chat in clips on my console. And that's cool if you're hanging out with your buddies. You do something crazy, something happens on the screen multiplayer-wise, and you can record it and share it. That would be kind of dope. Number 9, HDR dashboard. I think a lot of people have been asking for a high-definition dashboard for years. And lastly, and I think this should be much, much higher, lower the price of the consoles. Yeah, I kind of think they need to do that. But Jamie, let's bring you in. Again, we're going to kind of power through this, but I do want to get your thoughts on this because my thing with Asha specifically, and you've heard Umber say this, he even said it in his segment. He is still kind of at arm's length. And that's okay to do. I mean, she's only been in a position, I want to say, as of yesterday, I think as of today, it's 85 days in the position. But what she's been able to do has been incredible. She has honestly, and it's not just her, right? She is the CEO of Xbox, and she has a team that she's working with that goes across all of Xbox, whether it be hardware or software or services or engineering or social media, like working with Stein. She is working with a lot of people. She's brought in a lot of her own staff that she used to work with in OpenAI. Obviously, people get really freaked out about the AI thing, and she literally said that she's not going to be the one to bring AI slop to Xbox, but she is bringing people that she knows how they work because she's worked with them. And we have seen, Jamie, a significant amount of changes, and it's not just one or two. It's really starting to stack. Well, this new one that was announced yesterday called Player Voice, I think is brilliant. And unlike Polygon, who tried to use it as a negative, saying, what they said, and I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want to give them, don't go clicking on it. F Polygon. But I do want to get your thoughts on just another thing that's become a part of this stack that Asha has done to make it better for gamers, for consumers that play on Xbox.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw straight away, like feedback has actually been listened to, right? People for years wanted quick resume, to be able to the ability to disable that per title, and it
Yep.
only took 5 years. And what, she was working head of Xbox for 2 weeks, so clearly feedback is like very high priority at the minute. So I see this website, and it's only been up for 1 day, and you already have got almost 9,000 votes for exclusives.
Yep.
You have, let's see, almost 8,000, sorry, almost 7,000 votes for backwards compatibility. Like those two are very big ones. Clearly, people want those. Even like being able to play disc-based games next gen. I've even said this generation. I think Sony doing the detachable disc drive is the way to go. But like, Xbox has listened to this stuff in the past. That's how we got backwards compatibility over a decade ago, because there was a website where you could vote on what you wanted. And backwards compatibility back then was number one. So I like the fact that they're doing this again. They wouldn't have this list out there or this website if they weren't going to pay attention to it. And obviously, some of these things are going to take some time. But even things like, Xbox 360 style avatars, in my opinion, those avatars were peak. The ones we got last generation were horrible. They look terrible. But I love the idea that, they're paying attention to feedback and people can literally voice their opinion and actually have it be heard. Because the thing is about opinions is that people can say something online in such a way that, it can come off rude or annoying and people will just ignore it. Having this dedicated website shows that there's people paying attention to it. There's people actually voting on what they want, and hopefully they'll pay attention. As you know, I talk about backwards compatibility a lot on Xbox. There's still, like, we have over 360 titles backwards compatible. There's way more that could be added. Obviously, licensing is a problem with some, but I know for a fact that licensing isn't an issue with some of them. But we'll see what happens. But yeah, people need to vote. Keep voting. I obviously voted on exclusivity and backwards compatibility and the disc drive thing. But yeah, people need to vote. Just let your voice be heard, because if they actually paid attention to this stuff like they did a decade ago. So my opinion is this is great, and hopefully they actually pay attention to it and act on it soon.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? I will admit that a lot of the feedback that she had gotten, her turnaround is incredible.
Yeah.
And remember when she first took on the position, she said, "Put your request in. We're listening." Like almost from immediately, she tapped into listening to the fan, and now she's taken it to another level where Umbra, they have this website dedicated to listening to player feedback called Player Voice. And I want to get your thoughts on this, because again, I don't know what the percentage will be, Umbra, how many people will use it. But if there's one thing that we learned about social media, especially about Xbox and social media, people have a lot of opinions. Now, some will be worthy of talking about and having a conversation for. Some will be trolling. Some will be ridiculous comments. But for the most part, I read you the top 10, and what was at number 1? Exclusivity is a hot button topic. And it isn't just because she said the plan is the plan until it's not the plan. I don't think any of us are here to see exclusivity come back to throw in the face of someone from PlayStation. That's not what I do. I don't think that's what you do, and that's certainly not what Jamie does. We don't do those kind of things, but we do want a strong Xbox. And a strong Xbox starts with IP that you can only get on that box. And again, I said this earlier, Umbra, and I'll reiterate it again. The difference between Sony and Sony PlayStation and Xbox now is that PlayStation has completely removed their games for moving forward from PC, whereas Xbox is still going to put them there. So that is still, again, it could be still a strong platform, even though they are putting and keeping, and been doing this for years on PC. But the fact that Xbox wants to hear us talk about it and ask them and suggest things on something like Player Voice regarding exclusivity is pretty freaking cool, considering that most people look at these big corporations and be like, well, they don't care about the little people. Well, apparently they do care about the Xbox players.
Yeah, for sure. Boom. I thought you had more to say. I was
No. Sorry about that.
no, you're good. Yeah, the number one is exclusive. That definitely is something that resonates in the fan base. It's clear, right? The hardcore want exclusives to return. It's no secret. They continuously say it. They continuously push that. Now we have to look at it though, like obviously it's coming from a place of, them being diehards with Xbox for a long time. Of course they're going to say that. I wonder how much that registers with Asha and team. I hope they take it to heart seriously, and the people over her actually hear that and see a way to work that out in some capacity. Again, I think the multiplayer games can still go multi-plat, while single player, at least some of them stay exclusive. Much like you pointed out, the Project Latitude thing was a flop. Well, we all see it. The numbers speak for themselves. Forza being like the major seller, right, over everything, like dramatically so. So it's not, it's kind of like the gas title situation thing with Sony. Their experiment that failed spectacularly for them, right? Marathon is holding on barely right now, in fact. So like it's been a failed experiment for them. So now they learn from that and move forward. What do they do now? I think because of the failure of Project Latitude, we're going to have some games that's going to be exclusive anyway, right? Even because of that, because of the failure of it, they're not. I don't think they will be wise to bring those games over there anyway. It diminishes the brand further, at least in many eyes, and it's no real ROI involved right there. It's very minimal. So I think that's going to speak for itself in some form or fashion. Exclusives matter. Boom. I think we agree. So I'm not surprised to see it listed number one. Backward compatibility has always been a big thing. Microsoft has been at the forefront of that. That
Yes,
makes
sir.
sense to see it there. I'm kind of surprised it's so high because Microsoft has been doing what they have to do, right? Like there's not been like they've shied away from doing it. And
I think that at the center of that is probably the Activision stuff that we're all still waiting for.
That's a good point. Crusader often brings that up, and it is a mystery as to why those games aren't on Game Pass yet. That's still confusing.
There's so many really good ones. The Transformers, which Hasbro wants to work with Xbox because they publicly said it. You have
All
the
of
prototype
those.
games. You have Singularity. You have the Spider-Man games. That again, that was. I don't know how ironclad Spider-Man as a character is and how that would work with licensing on older titles, but those two of the three games from Beanox about the Spider-Verse were freaking amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty good. You also have like what was it, True Crime? What's the name of that? The game where he can change his form as he knows his arms and such, and he turns into this like bio monster thing. What's the name of that? Prototype, yeah, yes. Prototype. It's a bunch of games that they haven't brought over, and hopefully they're actually doing something with these IP behind the scenes and looking for a way to get newer versions out of some of these things. Because I saw in the chat earlier, somebody was talking about Diablo 4 not even being played anywhere, and of course that's because of the BattleNet situation and how it was integrated before Microsoft got ABK. But it's a lot of moves that Microsoft needs to make to correct a lot of things. The stuff with the ABK thing in general, getting those and backward compatible is definitely at the forefront. I agree with you. The one number 3, make online multiplayer free to play or free to access. It makes sense why people want it. Obviously, it is the case on PC because they couldn't. They'll get laughed out of the building, so to speak, if they try to ask for that on PC. I don't know how that'll work on console. I don't think they'll go away from that. I think that's a bit of a pipe dream. I know it's included in Game Pass and such. Maybe there's a clever way they can try to, finagle this, if you will. I just don't think they're going to go away from that. It's a major money maker for them. I just don't see that happening. But we'll see. And that deserves to be high because that's a lot of money, right? If that was taken out of, let's say, Game Pass, for instance, the price could drop more. Will they do that though? I doubt it. Achievements, 100%. It's I want to iron out what I would really love for achievements to evolve as. I like some of the moves they made currently. I saw you, by the way, Boom, you're aiming for that million.
I'm
Uh,
close.
yeah, I saw you. I'm like, look at Boom. That's a lot of dedication, as you know. I wanted to do it, but I know what that takes, and I don't want people like you just got a bunch of these cheap games, and that's what it has to take. That unfortunately, I know.
Yeah, but you know, you have to buy and
You
still
have
play
to.
those games. And a
You
lot of the
do.
games that I'm playing are puzzlers, and some of those levels are ball breaking.
Indeed, but like we know that in terms of quality, they're not the highest of quality, right? We get it, but if you want to play this million score and more game, unfortunately, that's what comes with it. I was talking
There's
to
just
Rand.
no way to be able to do that by just playing the AAA blockbusters.
Nah, not at all. I mean,
There's
unless
just
you
no
want to
way.
spend like years upon years and like dedicated, like you're gonna have to be super dedicated in knocking those games out. And I just don't think anyone has the time or the patience to do that. And I was talking to Rand about that some time back, and he was even saying that like he had to play the Barbies and all these other terrible games, right? Like that comes with the territory. So I know some people will try to use it as a negative, but that is what it is if you want that score to reflect that. And what's wrong with that? Who decided that? As my man from the Deadly Sins would say, who decided that it was bad that you want to get your score looking nice? Who decided that? Yeah, I like a big gamer score. It's an old school gamer in us. I get it. You know, I get it, Boom.
Yes.
Game Pass family plan. That's something that should have happened long ago. I'm still surprised it hasn't. Absolutely, it makes sense to be on this list. Definitely, it should probably be a bit higher. Honestly, it definitely makes sense. Number 6, allow disc-based games on the Helix. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think it's going to be a disc.
Well, there's going to be a
on that
disc
thing.
player. You'd be able to buy any Blu-ray player, just plug it in via USB-C and go. Just
That
like you do
might
on
be
your
able to do.
PC.
Yeah, you might be getting a peripheral to plug into the thing. I mean, if they're going toward the PC direction as they're going already, we already know the diminishing returns of physical now. I don't think it's going to have a disc drive in it.
They could easily go Umbra.
Yeah,
they could easily go with an OEM and partner with somebody like they do with like on the hard drives.
Yeah,
and just be like, hey, you know, partner at $89, you can plug it in, all your discs go.
Yeah, I mean, they guess where there's a will, there's a way, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't even know if they need to do that. I'm pretty sure there's like some device out there right now that you could just plug into a PC that allows that, right?
$25, you know, cheapo. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think they even need to go that route. I'm pretty certain that there's a device you can plug in and do just that already. So Xbox avatars, I think it's a little high on the list to being number 7 compared to the other stuff beneath it. But yeah, Xbox avatars are pretty cool. Last one I had was Master Chief. Yeah. I had Master Chief as my last avatar design. Well, at least
I was dressed as a Gears
Locust
cosplay. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had I had the Chief. You know what I mean? I just saw the Warthog, by the way, on the screen. I know somebody was think it was Splendiferous. What's up, Splend? He was saying they need to bring the Warthog. It's there. It's in the game. And,
it's in the game. I don't have it yet. I don't know where the heck to find it.
I actually got it in one of the rewards from.
Did you? Oh man, I got a bunch of. I got some really crazy ass cars, and I have like 140 cars so far. Yeah, I got a lot.
I'm just under you. I think I'm like 120 or something like that. Close. The HDR the allow for Xbox to record voice chat in clips. I feel like that could happen. But yeah, I mean, if anyone knew though how it used to be back in the day on 360, you already know where I'm going, right?
If you want those clips recorded, yeah, that's right.
You already know where I'm going.
I know exactly where you're going.
Yeah, like I feel that I feel people on this, but y'all know in the chat how that's going to go, and I don't think they want to take that risk. So I don't know if that'll happen.
Gen Pop is dangerous, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely, it is. Even still to this day. So I don't know if people are ready for that. I don't think that could happen because of how safe Microsoft is trying to be when it comes to that type of thing. So I mean, maybe they can allow it if you're friends, right? Maybe if you're friends, they can allow for that to happen. And like friends for whatever amount of time, maybe 6 months or something like that. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, where you're both friends and you've been friends for a while. That makes sense in terms of that, but maybe strangers wouldn't be able to do it because we already know what's going to happen. I'm just being real. We know what's going to happen. And of course, there's also, the danger of, other unsavory types possibly saying something to younger kids, things like that. You
Yes.
never know.
Yeah.
So that's dangerous. So that's why I don't believe that would happen. But they can do it if there are like, authenticators and ways to get around that, to like solidify how you can get to that point. Like maybe, you got to verify that you're both of this age. It can't be a child account on the Xbox that does it. You have to be friends for whatever X amount of time. Things like that. They gotta find ways to do that. I feel maybe that can work if they find qualifiers for it. Other than that, I just don't see how that can work. Considering how people are. The HDR dashboard, I don't know. That's another one that's puzzling to me why that hadn't happened in all this time.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that actually annoys me a bit, because it's much like the DVR situation where Microsoft used to be like the kings of that.
I'm actually surprised DVR wasn't on. It was on my list for sure.
Yeah, that should be
DVR is
on
terrible.
there. That's the thing that I'm confused about. Like that should have been like number maybe 6 or something, 5. The DVR situation has been terrible for a while now. There's no reason why Xbox should be so far behind PlayStation in terms of that. PlayStation's DVR situation is superb, like legitimately great. And I say that in a bit of disbelief that Microsoft allowed themselves to fail so spectacularly there in the DVR conversation. Like they are poor compared to PlayStation's offerings. And I'm not saying that to take a jab. I'm just being real. Like that shouldn't be the case. I'm surprised it's still the case, especially after they bought Clip Champ and all that. Like I thought they were going to do something with that, and they've done nothing.
Nothing,
So
absolutely nothing.
I'm very confused by that, and I hope they really take that step forward for the DVR thing. The HDR thing with the dashboard, obviously it needs to happen. But if I had to have my say in what would happen, DVR comes before HDR dashboard. Personally, I think they both can happen simultaneously. Obviously, I'm sure it's different departments that'll handle that versus that, but that needs to me, DVR should be on this list at least number 5, or like in the top 5 or 6, in my opinion. And number 10, very worthwhile, obvious, lower the price of the consoles. I think we can all agree there. The world we're living in, the economy we're in, is tough, right? And now I was having this conversation with the fellas the other day, and it's like somebody asked, I think it was my brother Stilo. He said, is gaming what did he say, how did he word it or frame it? He said, is it a expensive super expensive hobby, right? I forgot how he worded it, but more or less, was it, do you have to have a lot of money to have this as a hobby nowadays? And essentially all of us were like, yes, it's an expensive hobby now, right? Or is it a luxury, I guess is what he was saying. And we were like, yeah, it's a very expensive hobby now, right? I remember having this discussion on Twitter spaces and stuff again with our Hoove brothers, who, for whatever godforsaken reason, were talking up raising prices. Yeah, I'll pay $100 for this. I'll do that. I'm like, what is wrong? Like, are you possessed? Why would you say that? And sure enough, I said, I'm betting they listening to you too. And sure enough, we started seeing increases in prices, and they were the same people defending it. I'll pay for that. I'll pay for quality. Blah, blah. Like, shut up. You're the consumer. Why would you say this? Why would you want to pay more? I don't want to pay more. You've heard me many times on here, Boom, where I say it is ridiculous for anybody to advocate against their own pockets. There's no way you're going to hear me talk about, yeah, $80 games make sense. Never. That's my draw. You already heard me. 70 already have my eyebrows like, nope. Hey, nephew, we're going to have to split this one, or I'll wait for a sale, right? $80 is not happening. $100 definitely not happening. So, the cost of consoles going down, that being number 10, I think that should be higher on the list, but I don't know if they're going to actually do that. They should, especially since we're moving to the Helix, whatever that will be, the Xbox Fusion, as I've called it. That's going to be a pretty penny. I think we can all agree next gen is going to be costly for the consoles, right? Both PlayStation and Xbox. That's to me is a foregone conclusion. But since we're moving forward, typically we move down in prices for the current gen, and it's been this crazy thing, as we all acknowledge, that they went up instead. It's ridiculous. It's like we're in an upside down or something world or something, right? We're in bizarro world. So I agree with that one for sure. I don't know how much they're going to take that to heart, but if they could just to throw it out there really quick and I'll shut up. If they can combine dropping the price of consoles down to where they were before, or maybe even lower, possibly for like a certain Black Friday sale or something like that, coupled with the thing you were talking about, Boom, which is announcing like, yes, we'll be going back to some form of exclusivity. That right there could be a major shift, right? That could be something that's like, oh, they're dropping the price down to bring more people in, and they're talking about you can only get it over there. That would be the type of stuff they would have to do. That would be the aggressive moves they would have to make, to your point from earlier, But so, yeah, this list is not bad. I think DVR being missing here is just, I don't know why so many are, and I don't say who, I don't know why so many are ignoring that. That is one of the major issues that the platform has had for a while now, for years, and that needs to be corrected. Other things I agree with, other things I don't think will happen. Yeah, but not a bad list. I'm glad that they have this option for gamers to actually voice their thoughts and concerns and desires. So that's pretty cool.
Well, listen, guys, I am, first of all, I know the chat has no problem being here for 2 hours, but my back is saying otherwise. So I'm going to thank everybody for being here. A big thank you to all of the super chats. An even bigger thank you to the panel. I did not expect this to be a 2 hour and 10-minute show. Jesus, that's a long show, but we had fun. We had a bunch of pointed conversation. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, in fact, enjoy it, and I got news for you. I just for some TLDR, I lost 10 subs yesterday because I was so hard pressed on this exclusivity thing. Like 10 people were like, "Yeah, F this guy with his shenanigans." Listen, I don't care if I lose 100. I want exclusivity back at Xbox. If you do also, then you'll be subscribed. If you don't, well, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. It's my pops. But look, I love competition. I always have. I've always been a competitive kind of a person. And for a lot of years, Xbox, Jamie, you literally said it. We're cruising or coasting. I've been saying this you say this on your show all the time. That's how you felt. That's how I felt. That's how a lot of people in the chat felt. But lastly, we got a super chat here from Jay Bishy87, who I talked about on yesterday's podcast. He drops very generous £5 super chat. Follow this man. It's at Bishy, BISHIE 87 on Twitter. Really, really fun dude to have a conversation with. He's learning that you can't have an earnest conversation with social media because people are just boobs. But he is someone to have a good conversation with. Just very generous £5 super chat and says, if people want the end of exclusivity, it requires the participation of every platform holder. A unilateral disarmament only weakens Xbox's leverage. I mean, listen, absolutely. It's if Nintendo and PlayStation are refusing to do what Xbox has already bent the knee and done, then Xbox is going to continue to be weak. They are weak. They're broken. It's a broken brand, ladies and gentlemen. Is it coming back? Yes. Does it have games? Yes. Hardware? Check. Best service? Cheapest service. After Sony just raised their PlayStation Plus yesterday, they have a winning hand. They just have to have the balls to make the big moves, and the big moves comes in saying, we have decided not to release Forza Horizon 6, Halo Campaign Evolved, Gears of War E-Day, or Fable on PlayStation. We have changed our minds. If you want to play it, you can play it on Xbox, you can play it on PC or cloud. Where you can't play it is on a PlayStation. And then close the door. That's balls to the wall what they have to do. But Jamie Moran, let's sell the brand of not only the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel, but you have a show tonight called the All Things Xbox Podcast with yourself and Logan Meyer, where I would imagine lots of the conversation we had today are going to be fired up again, on top of maybe 12 additional topics. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people check out the podcast tonight? And more importantly, follow you on social media?
Thanks, Boom. It's always a pleasure. So, yeah, All Things Xbox podcast is on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Eastern on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel. I exclusively cover Xbox, and I'm a pro Xbox content creator. I don't do any fanboy stuff. It's always a fun time over there on the podcast. And, yeah, we tend to have anywhere between 12 to 20 topics each week. It's a 2-hour show. And obviously, we're going to be talking about the exclusivity thing because it is a hot topic at the minute. We're going to be talking about Assassin's Creed as well because some new information came out about that.
Yep.
The Black Flag remake, which I can't wait. Final Fantasy Rebirth. Literally, we have about 19 topics at the minute. But,
Holy cow, I love it.
But it should be a fun show. So that's 6 p.m. Eastern on the Elusive Gamer YouTube channel. I also do Twitter, which is JamieMoran UK, and that's exclusively gaming and jokes.
And don't forget this week, folks, on Friday, Lego Batman, or should I say Lego Arkham, comes out. I have it pre-ordered. We have James Bond releasing. I don't have enough money, time, or patience for all of these games. Gee, damn it. Stop it. Stop coming out with all these games.
I'm hyped for that Batman, actually.
That looks so freaking good. It's the Arkham really game we've been waiting for, except it's Lego. Yes, yes, and yes. And Infinite Umbra. I would imagine that you're already writing and putting together Thursday's show, and it's going to be another banger like what's on your screen, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, that is The Fix, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people check out The Fix with you? Of course, Daniel J. McGee and Crusader each and every Thursday. And more importantly, where can people follow you on social media?
Indeed. Thank you, Boom, for having me as always and being patient with it, brother. You know, sometimes I miss a show, but I don't do it purposely or anything.
Listen, brother, we're happy to have you here because your opinion matters. That's why we love having you here, bro.
I only get that validation here in life. They tell me shut up, and I just keep it moving. No, always fun to be here.
It's the Chi-Town way, I guess.
Yeah, they like shut up,
shut up,
keep it moving.
Drink like, your pop and keep it moving.
You're right. Drink your pop and shut up. I'm like, all right, thank you, mother, and mother. No, but seriously, always fun to be here and chat with you fellas, and always the chat family. I love getting you guys feedback, even if we disagree. I like seeing all these different opinions because I am of the mindset that not my opinion is not paramount to anything else. Sometimes I might be wrong. Boom! I wanted to point out that it's me, Broke Boy. Whatever. You got to shorten your name, Broke Boy.
Yeah, he actually just dropped an additional $2 super chat and he says, not get another super chat. No, I actually didn't see the other one. He said there's a Mount Fuji dynamic Xbox background.
Yeah, so
I did not see it.
6. Yeah, Forza Horizon 6 dynamic background.
That's dope. I did not get that one.
I didn't get it. Well, I don't have an Xbox anymore, but anyway. So yeah, it looks pretty dope. Actually, I'll share it to you. Idle Sloth, our brother Idle Sloth is
he's doing the gaming god's work. That guy's busy as old H.
Yeah, I just shared it to you. Okay, thank you, legendary Yobi, for acknowledging me. I appreciate it. So yeah, like as far as finding me, of course, you guys know you can find me on social media. That's Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Thursday on the Fix, as Boom pointed out, at 8 o'clock Eastern. Definitely will be going live this week. We missed out a couple of weeks just because of life and things going on, so hadn't had a chance to really get there and do what we had to do. So we're going to have probably a longer show than we want to have this week as well, just knowing how we're going to have so much to talk about. I put the link in the chat already, so if those of you who have not subscribed yet, maybe you would feel so inclined to subscribe to a brother, and also of course to Jamie's. I saw his link as well. Now of course, again, guys, stop by if you can. We're gonna have a good conversation this Thursday as well, and go play some games. I know Forza just dropped today, right? Officially.
Yeah, officially today, yes. And the numbers, people are listen, I've been playing for 80 hours now.
Oh, man.
80 hours in. I got up last night and I was like,
the game is addictive. I can't lie. Forza is very addictive.
So good, man.
I will, I'll say too, I think, and I know it's presumptuous, it's probably like, it's recency bias. I think I'm liking this. I'm more addicted to this than I was to 5. And
Me
that's
too.
Not to say 5 was bad. 5 was excellent.
I think it's the setting.
It's the setting, I think, and it's also because it feels rejuvenated in that sense, but it's also like some of the ways they framed how you progress is cooler. The whole wristband thing you get that took it back to the series, like roots of how they were doing it back in the day.
The discoverability in this game is
man.
insane.
I love it.
It's
I see you doing a
addicting.
ton of it here in this. I was going to record some of myself doing that, but like I would have so much footage of me rewinding and trying to fly up mountains and such. But it is discoverability, like you said, is top.
Please
notch.
play this game.
Yeah.
Please try it out. Again, maybe it's not for you, and you like you want your sim racer. This is so good. There's so much to do, Umbra, that it's daunting. Honestly,
that's the thing, right? And I like that they got the filters on where you could turn certain. I saw yours already your screen, so you knew that you turn off filters for certain. Because if you don't, you will be overwhelmed. I would have given y'all that advice too. Turn your filters off on your map to like hide certain things until you're ready to go for that, because you will be like overwhelmed by so much on the map at one time. Like, what do I do now? What do I do? They even have this, like, I don't want to say nifty because I don't really say that word, but it's a nifty thing where you can say, what do I do next?
Yes.
Because sometimes you're going to be so like, what do I do? It's so much to do. You will be confused and you'll have
the game will allow you to if you're not familiar or you're like it's overwhelming, let the game guide you. It'll guide you
for sure. And it's cool in that way, and it makes it more relaxed. It definitely gives you more of a casual experience in terms of you don't have to feel like I gotta go and do this. You can play it at your leisure, how you want to play it, right? Yeah, I mean, you got so many options for accessibility. Like, the game is accessibility king. Like, I'm talking about from tweaking your car the way you need to tweaking the competitors to how you need to. I will say, play it often, get good, because if you turn it up past average, these drivatars will they will smoke you.
And if I put it this way, if you meet me, I'm sorry. I want to say I'm very sorry if my drivatar knocks you into a pole. He's very aggressive. I don't know where this comes from. I'm going to be honest with you. The aggressiveness of my average drivatar. I've been yelled at on social media and on the Xbox message. God damn it, Boom! What's wrong with your drivatar? I don't know.
I don't apologize at all. I've had races with like Kay Asante and Black Viking and all the guys, and I said, Kay, well, first we're going through each other, right? You're intangible. So I'm like, turn it off. I want to run you off the road. And so he turned it back on, and we were just colliding and smashing and knocking each other all over the place, and that Raku delivery thing and all that. Yeah, to me, I make no bones about it. I am trying to knock you out of my way. I'm not doing a nice little. That's what Forza Motorsport is for. I'm here to knock you out of my way and keep it moving. That's what I'm here for. And hopefully you don't get me. I get you before you get me. But yeah, definitely enjoy, you guys. The game is superb. Honestly, I'm not just saying that. I think you're gonna love it if you haven't got a chance to play it yet. So.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us. Once again, a big thank you to all the super chats. Will, apologies for not seeing the other $2 ones. I definitely appreciate the generosity as always. Listen, 2 hours and 22 minutes. Didn't expect it, but I hope that you enjoyed it enough to hit the like button. And of course, I'm going to close up the show quickly with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully, one day will be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. He'd say, "Craig, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast."